This week, I wrote a message about the beauty of Jacob's dream, about the idea that there is a ladder, and the notion that the Jewish tradition has the ability to take an ordinary object, to take the mundane, to take what we call in Judaism the chol, and turn it into kodesh, turn it into holiness. Right? For the whole rest of the world, 2 candlesticks on a table means that you're at a romantic restaurant. For us, it means that it's Friday night. Right? For the rest of the world, right, serving wine and everybody standing up and toasting one another means that we're celebrating a special occasion. For Jews, we do that as a way to celebrate our tradition and the idea of sanctity. The ladder image is so powerful because it works on multiple layers. And so I'm going to take this idea of chol, this idea of the ordinary, the idea of the ladder, and just dwell on it for just a brief moment. And consider it not how it operates in our life, but how it relates to Jacob in particular, who puts his head down and has this dream. Because I believe very much that God relates to each of our forefathers and foremothers in a way that's meaningful for them, just like God relates to each one of us in a way that's meaningful for us in our capability at our level. So Abraham wanted children, and so messengers showed up to announce it for Abraham. Abraham had to walk through the parts. We can talk about all of Abraham's ideas. Isaac never has an iconic moment like this. Moses does at the burning bush. And in God's revelation, we understand what Moses is looking for. God reveals to Moses a name that is only spoken to Moses. Tell the people of Israel, Eheyeh asher eheyeh, I will be that I will be. Meaning, you are speaking with eternity. You want a life that matters? Stick with me. I'll turn you into something that matters. Abraham looking for children, he gets that message. Jacob is looking for something different. Jacob is on a long journey. And the reason why Jacob's revelation should matter to us a lot is because we are literally Bnei Yisrael. We are still considered to be his children. And Jacob doesn't have that easy of a life. Right? At the very end, he meets Pharaoh. Joseph brings Jacob to meet Pharaoh, right? And Pharaoh asks Jacob, I'm in chapter 47, he asks Jacob, Kama yemei shnei chayecha? How many have been the years of your life? Or how do you think of your life so far? And Jacob responds back, Me'at v'ra'im hayu yemei shnei chayei. Right? Few and bad have been the days of my life. He goes on this journey and he lays his head down, and we have to imagine the anxiety that he must have felt traveling to a place that he didn't know, leaving his family and everything. We have a lot of reason to believe from the text that he left essentially with no money, no resources whatsoever. This was not Abraham's servant. This wasn't Abraham and Sarah traveling around, falling backwards into money left and right everywhere they go. This is an Isaac who becomes more and more successful over his life by doing not much. Jacob sets out on this journey, and he's going to have to fend for himself. He's going to have to find a new life. He's going to find for himself wife or wives. He's going to have to find for himself a way to make his way into the world of his own making. And I'd suggest that the ladder is an image that we can read about Jacob. He's going to do a whole lot of climbing 2 steps up and 1 step down. At some points in the narrative, he climbs 2 steps up and 3 steps down. And this is going to happen to him again and again and again in his life. We can look at stories where he's wealthier and he's not as wealthy. We can look at stories where he's in love and where he doesn't really like being at home very much anymore. He takes walks in the middle of the night by himself. We can take pictures of Jacob when he has chosen a favorite child and when he's lost that favorite child. He's going to have a difficult, difficult life. And when God reveals God's self to Jacob in this message this week, in the Jacob's Ladder portrait, God says very simply, Anochi imcha. I'm with you. Jacob, whose dialogue reads very much like he's always a fraternity guy who wakes up with a hangover. All of his dialogue. He's never mature. He's always either complaining or telling people what they should do for him throughout the entire narrative. He walks around. Today, he gets to the well, right? He gets to the well, and he tells them quite literally, Achai is the first thing he says to the people he sees, bros, right? He addresses everybody bros. Ma'ayin atem, where are you from, bros, right? And they say, we're from Padan Aram, we're from right here. And he realizes that he made it. And then he says, Hayadatem at Lavan ben Nachor, do you know Lavan, my uncle? He doesn't say my uncle, but do you know Lavan, the son of Nachor? They say, Yadan, we know him. And he says to them, Vayomer lahem, Hashalom. Is he cool? Right? Jacob has this kind of wandering self. There's a reason we're named after Jacob. And I'd argue because of God's message to Jacob in the dream, we know that what Jacob is looking for throughout his entire life is companionship, friendship. Somebody to tell him, I'll be by your side. It doesn't come from his parents. It certainly doesn't come from his brother. It's not going to come from his children. The wife that he wants it to come from, she passes away, and the wife that he doesn't want it to come from, she sticks around forever and ever and ever. The message from God is Anochi imcha. I'm the one that's with you. Sounds like a line from Goodfellas. I'm with you, right? Not much else needs to be said between the two of them. Whatever you are looking for, you'll get it essentially from me. Does that mean that Jacob's journey stops? No. Does that mean that Jacob banks it and says, no matter what happens to me, I know God is on my side. I don't have to try anymore? Not at all. He still looks for all those things in the world that he's looking for. But I really think that this is the message to the Jewish people. This is why the latter scene has spoken to us generation after generation after generation, is that life is a struggle. So many times I have meetings in my office with people, congregants, and when I have meetings with others outside the community, and essentially the subject is the struggles of life. And when the angels are climbing up and down the ladder, it's trying to teach us that there's sanctity in the struggle. That as Jews, we find sanctity, we find moments in the struggle that we can celebrate. Even in the hardest of moments, we know Anochi imcha. We know that even in the hardest moments, the tradition is with us. The community is with us. The Torah is with us. God is with us in this journey. It is the moment when we all come into the rabbi's office to ask, why did God do this to me? Right? These set of things have happened. They're all negative. Why did God do this to me? Nobody's ever walked into my office and said, I just won the lottery. Why did God do this to me? Right? What do I do with the tsuris of the lottery winnings? There are angels going up the ladder. There are also angels going down the ladder. Jacob's life And the life of the Jewish people, the narrative of the Jewish people, will be the ups and the downs, both. And throughout the entire ladder experience, our role as a Jewish people, no matter how the work week went, is to sit down on Friday nights and make Kiddush and eat challah. No matter how the year went, we come back to community and our people. No matter how day is going, we cover our eyes and we say the Shema, and we know that Jews across the world are doing the same. Because in the essence of the latter scene, there's going to be struggle in this world. And even in the struggle, God is standing by us. There's sanctity that can be found even in the day-to-day struggle of the ladder. Each of us is on a ladder. Some of our ladders look like Marc Chagall's. Some of them look like the ugly one that I have in the garage from Home Depot. And our role as Jews is to know that no matter what ladder we're on, in that moment, there's sanctity right around the corner. Don't give up. There's never a moment at which Jacob gives up, and Jacob goes through a lot in his life. We are his children. We're supposed to follow in his footsteps. We see a lot in our lives, and we know that Kiddush is just around the corner. Always. Even on days this hot. Shabbat shalom, everybody.